Okay, everybody, from BIN, Black Information Network. A new investigation from ProPublica is raising urgent questions about medical autonomy and who ultimately has the final say during childbirth. According to the outlet, at least 2 black women in Florida were forced into courtroom-style hearings while in labor after refusing cesarean sections, with judges brought in to decide whether doctors could override their decisions. One of those women, Sharice Doyley, was in active labor at a Jacksonville hospital in September 2024 when staff initiated an emergency legal hearing. "It's a real judge in there," Doyley asked at the start of the virtual proceeding. Doyley, a professional doula, had previously undergone 3 C-sections, including one that resulted in hemorrhaging, and wanted to avoid another unless it became medically necessary. Doctors raised concerns about the risk of uterine rupture and sought court intervention. As the hearing unfolded, Doyley pushed back on what she saw as an attempt to take control of her body. "I have 20 white people against me," she said during the proceeding, adding that she believed her rights were being taken by force. After hours of testimony, a judge ruled that she could continue laboring, but authorized doctors to operate if conditions worsened. ProPublica reports she ultimately underwent a C-section after doctors said her baby was showing signs of distress. Her case was not isolated. The outlet also reported on Brianna Bennett, another black woman in Florida who faced a similar situation in 2023. After declining a C-section during a prolonged labor, hospital officials sought a court order. During the hearing, Bennett questioned who would support her through recovery if she underwent surgery. "Are any of you gonna help me bathe or shower?" she asked. "Are you gonna help lift my baby?" ProPublica reported. A judge ultimately approved the procedure and she underwent a C-section despite her objections. The state attorney involved in this case defended that decision. Jack Campbell, the top prosecutor for Florida's 2nd Judicial Circuit, told ProPublica he believed the intervention was necessary to protect both Bennett and her child. "I'm real comfortable with what we did here," Campbell said. "I hate the fact that she's upset about it." The reporting highlights a rare but legally complex reality. While patients generally have the right to refuse medical treatment, pregnancy is one of the few circumstances where courts have allowed those decisions to be overridden. There aren't any other instances where you could invade the body of one person in order to save the life of another. Lois Shepard, a bioethics expert at the University of Virginia, told ProPublica. Legal experts say these cases are tied to a broader framework known as fetal personhood, the idea that a fetus can have rights that in some cases outweigh those of the pregnant patient. That concept has been building for decades. ProPublica reports that court-ordered C-sections date back to the 1980s, with more recent momentum following a Supreme Court's decision to overturn Roe v. Wade. Florida has been at the center of that shift. Courts in the state have, in certain cases, allowed officials to compel medical treatment during pregnancy, even though similar authority is not granted in most other medical situations. The investigation also highlights broader disparities. Both Doyley and Bennett are black women, a detail advocates say reflects ongoing concerns about race, power, and decision-making in maternal health care. For some, those cases underscore a deeper question about autonomy and who ultimately has control in the delivery room. As ProPublica's reporting shows, in rare but high-stakes situations, that decision may not rest with the person giving birth. The Black Information Network is who reported this. And you all remember this piece of filth right here. LaChrista Vaughn.
Lang is her doctor. Y'all treat all your patients like this or just the black ones? Her due date is the 10th. She had 3 pregnancies, 2 babies at home. I bet y'all listen next time. When you found out you was delivering at this hospital, your ass should have changed doctors.
So following the viral video, the Dallas Regional Medical Center said that the nurse was no longer employed, saying that Vaughn was fired or terminated, I guess, sounded too harsh for the hospital. The hospital statement in December 2025, officials stated the individual did not reflect our values or uphold our standards and was no longer on staff. Translated, we got caught this time on camera, so we had to let you go. The initial response before the termination was finalized, reports indicated the nurse was briefly suspended while an investigation into the incident took place. Meaning they saw the social media videos and were like, oh no, we've been found out. The decision followed a viral TikTok showing the nurse continuing routine intake paperwork while the patient, Kiara Jones, was in active labor and extreme pain in the waiting room. Jones eventually gave birth just 12 minutes after finally being admitted to the back. 12 minutes. And we also cannot forget Mercedes and Leon Wells. In November 2025, they were forced to give birth in their pickup truck on the side of a highway after being discharged from Franciscan Health Crown Point in Northwest Indiana. Despite Mercedes being a high-risk patient and in active labor with contractions just 1 minute apart, she was told she was not dilated enough to be admitted. Okay, so we all remember that one. And following the viral incident, the doctor and nurse directly involved were terminated. Now, and this is a shot of Mrs. Wells at that Indiana medical facility, if you can call it that, more like in Indiana House of Animals, where people act like animals despite the fact having medical degrees or licensure of some status or another. There's a picture of Mrs. Wells with her husband, who did something very heroic by birthing his child in a pickup truck. And I cannot imagine the excruciating pain that his wife went through. Shout out to her. Despite the trash that was in the hospital that day, they were able to give birth and birth that black baby and bring that black baby into the world. So medical apartheid, to be honest, not something that I was fully aware of until the black media made me aware of medical apartheid and medical terrorism in our nation in America. Another frontier that we as black people will have to fight and will have to get on point about. That can happen by sharing and documenting, as these people have done. Now listen, the white power structure will protect these doctors and nurses when they commit crimes against our people. Medical negligence, usually handled in the civil realm of the court system. But as I hear about somebody denying, not wanting a cesarean section, which is reported they offer to black women at a disproportionate rate, seeming to want to cut a black woman open, maybe to get more money for the surgery so that they can pad their bottom lines. Yes, white doctors, white supremacist doctors and lawyers are very treacherous, are very evil people. And we have this thing in our head that because somebody has earned a medical degree that they are somehow professional or will do the right thing by you. Don't forget, a white supremacist is a coward by nature. So for them to be given the legal authority to make medical decisions. They use that as a white supremacist would every time to do evil, to cause harm, to cause pain, to try to boost their low self-esteem for being white supremacists. Now, another area of operation in this sick world of medical supremacy, of medical white supremacy, are those that are on drugs. Now, a lot of people like to poo-poo this or like to shoo this away because we've been trained to look at someone that is on drugs as somehow undesirable, which many times they are, but as what happens to them doesn't matter. We have a lot of crackhead jokes, crackhead this, crackhead that. Well, a lot of your family members that are having issues, substance abuse issues, are being forcefully sedated, in particular in places like New Jersey. Many a time those suffering from mental health crisis due to substance abuse, to blood toxicity, so on and so forth, end up being murdered and assaulted and harmed by the police, by law enforcement. And we chalk it up to, oh, well, he was on drugs. No, not so fast. A white supremacist looks for any and every angle and advantage to harm a black person. Evil is on their mind at all times. It's almost equivalent to, you've seen those sting operations where you have a drunk guy on the street, which is an undercover detective pretending to be passed out or too drunk to be aware of his surroundings. And somebody will rob them, then they will arrest the person that robbed them for taking advantage of that situation. Well, it's the same thing. A white supremacist, whether it's a pregnant woman, whether it is a woman that may or may not need a C-section but does not want one, or somebody who is high and is objecting to being harassed by the police, they will look for that reason to harm you. And that's where we come in with documentation, but not only documentation, but to fight for legislation to protect the population in this nation. I don't know about you, but my first reaction was to find whatever doctor and nurse is doing this and go upside their heads, slap the taste out of their mouth. But that will land you where you don't want to be, where you will be most ineffective. That is behind bars. No, this fight is an ongoing fight. It's not a new fight, but it's becoming new to the public due to social media and technology. Now we can get the word out. Start with your local and state authorities. If you suspect medical malpractice, report that doctor to your state's authority channels. Most states have something that you can submit online to protect yourself or your loved ones or just a member of your community. Whether it's a civil rights violation, whether it is something that the medical board can handle internally, or whether it is something that can be handled through criminal charges. Many times civil rights violations are criminal charges. Whatever the process is, this must be dealt with. It can even be escalated to a federal level. Again, it's very hard to sue a doctor, but it can be done. So don't just stop there. Also look for private counsel and things of that nature. You hate to hear about things like this, especially when it comes to the women in our community. But do not forget, white supremacists have no honor, and they see nothing as being out of bounds when it comes to them and their fear of going extinct due to their low birth rates. But you all let me know what you think. Leave your comments in the box. Raw Status TV.